What's going on, guys? CES 2022. We are back at the convention center and we are visiting one of our favorite vendors, and that is InWin. BPS Customs coverage of CES 2022 is powered by Height and the new Revolt 3 Mini ITX enclosure. Portable yet packed with features including dual headphone hangers, a sturdy handle, and support for full-length graphics cards, the Revolt 3 is perfect as a compact desk piece or to bring with you on the go. Take your gaming setup to the next level with the Height Revolt 3. Check out the link down below for more information. So the first thing I want to talk about is InWin's new modular cases. Now, what they were trying to do with both the Air Force and the Explorer is solve a problem of logistics. Now, shipping right now is kind of a nightmare and costs are really going nuts. So what they did was they wanted to be able to ship a case in a modular fashion, flat packed and disassembled. This is what they came up with for that problem. So this right here that we're looking at is the ATX version of that case. This is the Air Force. Now, both of these cases are already released, but they just came out. So we're talking about just a couple of weeks old. The Air Force is $210. It includes 4 RGB fans at the front with this really cool design. And everything about this case, with the exception of, the USB ports at the top and the wiring inside, is plastic and modular and comes flat packed and completely disassembled. So you actually build it yourself. Now, one of the cool things that I talked to them about is the way that you can customize this case. They are planning on eventually coming out with different colorways of this enclosure, but what you could do is, because it just comes flat packed and it comes disassembled, you could just paint it. You can make this look like anything you want, and the room inside is pretty spacious. The construction feels really solid, even though the materials themselves are much lighter, much easier to move around, and it still has a lot of that same InWin ingenuity when it comes to things like side panel releasing, and I really dig it. So this is the Air Force. Let's take a quick look at the Mini ITX version of that case, which is the Explorer. So the Air Force is $210, and the Explorer, which is the Mini ITX version, is only $120 and includes 3 of their fans. So we have, again, the same modular concept, the same kind of funky plastic design, the same InWin ingenuity when it comes to side panel release, which is just these 4 little push buttons. But if you look at the interior, it's actually really spacious, gives you a lot of vertical room for coolers, and it also is long enough to support mini DTX motherboards. And then, of course, you're going to have your more traditional InWin style cases, starting with this. This is the 515. And you can see on the top here something that InWin hasn't done before, which is side mesh. Now, they've done the side-facing fan configuration for water cooling before. However, they wanted to try to solve a couple of issues with water cooling compatibility and obviously airflow. And this kind of design is going to solve those problems. Additionally, they've redesigned their latch mechanism to make it much easier to pop off the side panel. It's just a single button and it lifts right off. And then the way the internals are configured is that the AIO would mount here, and then tubes would route up and under and then into this chamber above and mount right here. Because there's so much room inside, they were also able to include a GPU support bracket. Now, we'll see this in a different case later, but there's basically an arm that comes off and you could adjust it up and down to support your GPU to make sure that you don't have any sag. Also, there's no fan mounts on the back wall, meaning that you have to stick your finger in the fan, apparently, meaning that you have support for SSI EEB motherboards. That's huge width, and you can put basically anything you need in here component-wise, and you shouldn't have any compatibility issues with sizing. The 515 is available now for $188, and it comes with just 1 fan. But honestly, if you're going to be populating this thing with maybe even custom loop or an AIO, you're going to have your own fans that you're going to want to put in here and make sure that everything matches. Luckily, InWin does have their own line of AIOs, which we will look at in a minute. Moving on, we have a more budget case. This is the 127. This is available now for $135. It comes with no fans, unfortunately. But again, InWin is embracing the airflow by including mesh along the front. Now, what they did with this case actually was, this is based on the 101. And if you guys are familiar with the 101, the internals of it actually are laid out a little bit differently. So the 101 actually used to use a radiator mount along the back wall, and what they've done is they've shifted that so that it's along the front. This promotes better airflow through the mesh panel and also less problems with GPU length compatibility, because with the radiators or fans mounted along the back wall, InWin said that sometimes with longer GPUs, you're running into interference issues, and the GPUs and the fans kind of caused a little bit of an issue. Here, we don't have that anymore. The fans are along the front wall, they breathe better, they look better, and you don't have any problems with GPUs. So we're looking at the back of that different panel now, and what I did ask them is that because this is just kind of a blank space, why not make this a drive mount or cable routing channel or something? And the product manager actually found those ideas to be really good, and he said that maybe they could add something like this on either for a Rev 2 or even just later on in the product's life cycle, because this is already released, but this really doesn't serve any function, and it is an opportunity to put something there. So they are taking that kind of feedback. So if you guys see anything on these cases that you think might be different, or you have any suggestions, make sure to post them down below in the comments, and we'll send over all the feedback to InWin, and maybe we'll get some changes made and make the cases even better. And then at $256 with one fan included is the 315. This is a really slick looking glass and metal enclosure. Obviously, the initial question you're going to have is, well, what about airflow? And I talked to them about that. They said what they're trying to do is promote airflow bottom to top. So down at the bottom, you're going to have room to mount 3 intake fans, and then it's supposed to exhaust out the top and through the back of the case. This is of questionable functionality. I don't really know how that's going to play out because this is honestly mostly blocked off. However, I've built in other InWin cases where this layout has proven to be fine and not that much of an issue. However, when you're talking about a case of this size, it's likely meant to be used with higher end hardware. And if you're running something like an i9 and a 3080 Ti in here, I worry about your components eventually getting a little too warm and overheating. But they say everything is fine. And if you like the look of this case, it's definitely a statement piece on your desk with this giant glass pane in the front and these chamfered metal edges along the front and down the middle. And then we have new fans and new AIOs. So InWin has had the Sirius line of fans for actually a few years now, and the absolute best part about them is that they perform pretty well, but they are extremely cheap, especially when compared to the rest of the market. So a 3-pack of these fans, either black or white, with an RGB controller is only 40 bucks. So you can fully populate a system and not break the bank, and also they have an RGB ring along the back as well, so no matter which direction that you actually mount them, you could still get that decorative effect. These are really good value, and I've definitely liked the way InWin is going with their fans. Now you guys already might know the SR36. This came out last year, I think, and it has this giant pump top design, but InWin has 2 new AIOs that are already in the market. So if we move over to the left here, we have the BR24 and the BR36. The big selling point about these is this. This is an enormous VRM cooling fan that's supposed to bring the temperatures down of your VRM by between 30 and 40 degrees. It's got an inline pump design, comes with these 3 ARGB fans. The 240 version is $135, and the 360 version is $155. Now, moving over one more, we have kind of out there design as InWin is known for. This is their new Nebula design, and you're going to see this again as we move back over to their cases. So the NR24 is $139, the NR36 is $149. So again, 240 or 360 sizing. Everything about this construction is essentially the same as the BR, except now the top is this decorative nebula effect and not the fan. So you're going to get hopefully similar performance for your CPU cooling. You just don't get the added benefit of the VRM cooling, but this is going to look pretty cool in your system. And then for a fairly small price premium over the existing 515 and 127 cases, we have the Nebula versions of them. So just like you guys saw on the AIO, this is a design aesthetic that InWin is choosing to implement in a couple of their cases. So this is the N515, and this is $208. It's essentially the same case as the 515, except it's got this really cool Nebula panel at the top. And then if we swing back over to the other side, we can see the N127. This is going to be $167. So again, a slight price premium over the 127 base case. However, it's got this really nice design aesthetic, and if we swing around, we can see that it ties in nicely with the new Nebula top on their AIO. So that is it from the InWin booth here at CES 2022. I'm gonna steal these and go home with them and build myself one of my own Explorer cases. I think they are really cool. What do you guys think? Make sure you leave a comment down below. Do you like the Explorer or the Air Force or any of the other new cases or AIOs? Also, don't forget to get subscribed to the channel. Much more CES content coming at you very soon from right here at the Convention Center. See you guys next time.